So this time we're going to be playing the demo for an item fantasy by, let's see, Clop 422. Okay, well it's different for a color palette. It's not bad. Okay. Okay. It's a bit different. Okay, first off, when you have the colors like this, you can't see white text very easily. You might want to try changing the palette. This is a lot to do to get a sword. Okay. Can I switch this? Okay, good. So far, it's not bad. If this is supposed to be inside of a tree, then maybe change the color palette to be a bit darker. That would also fix the problems with not being able to easily read the text when the dungeon starts. Plus, if you're going to use classic graphics, then... Oops, wrong button. Sorry, I'm using controller. I keep forgetting I have it set to X, or Y. Anyways, if you're going to use the classic tile set... Oh boy. Like I was saying, if you're going to use the classic tile set, changing the palettes is usually a good idea. Shit! Oh, crap. That's a little bit hard for level 1, isn't it? Well, I'm dead. I'll cut back to when I get there again. Okay, I'm back. This is kinda harsh for a first level. Oh, and I've gotta go back the long way. Okay, it might be a good idea if you take this block here, make it pushable, and make the under combo just a normal ground thing, so that way you can just push the block to the left twice and then not have to go through this. Okay, I made it. Now, where am I going? Okay. So, I'm guessing each item that you can collect in the game, other than the shield, involves an entire dungeon? Well, hang on, how many items? That's a lot of dungeons. Okay. Well, as long as you're not taking this in some ridiculous direction, like you need a heart or a heart refill item, and you have to go through a mini dungeon for that. Again, I can't read that. Okay, so each dungeon has a bunch of items in it. Is that the gimmick here? Ah, crap. Oh, come on. Okay, that was faster than I planned. Okay, well I'm coming up on time for dungeon content, so I'll come back with when I can do more of the overworld stuff. Okay, I'm back early. Your your quest is currently impossible to complete. By that I mean, short of actually restarting the quest, you can't continue. These bushes respawn. Hang on. Okay. The bushes respawn, so you can't actually complete the dungeon without having to quit the game and hit continue. Which you shouldn't have to do. Ever. It's, I can't think of any video game that... Okay, well, excluding those old point-and-click adventure games, but I can't think of any of those that actually force you to turn the game off and back on in order to continue. So, right off the bat, there's a bug, a game-ending bug, in the first dungeon. I'm not sure if you're using an interior type DMAP or a dungeon type DMAP. Generally interiors work better for most things, but if the built-in function to make a puzzle stay solved doesn't work, there is a script in the database that's very easy to use and set up that will force it to stay solved. If you use that, and it's very easy to set up, and lots of people on this site are more than willing to help you figure out how to use a script if you can't understand. But if you get that put in there, it'll be really easy to use and it'll fix your problem. If you don't want to do that, a more low-tech approach would be to place a warp in the room where you get the boss key that warps you. Maybe, back to the entrance would probably be too far, but I don't know, like maybe the halfway point of the dungeon, if that's not where this is, or halfway to this point. Anyways, I'll get back to you in a bit. Okay, so I'm back. Bit unusual in that I end up reviewing the dungeon setups before the overworld, but so the overworld doesn't look too bad. It's rather empty, actually. I understand it's a demo, but I had to go through a large section of a dungeon without any weapon to fight with, and now that I have a weapon and I finished a dungeon, there's nothing to do with it. Oh. Okay, your subscreen doesn't show keys when you're in a dungeon, in a cave. Okay. Oh. Okay, that's the button I pushed. So you do have scripts on this. Well then, that spot in the first dungeon should be really easy to fix then. Okay, so the demo is over. Alright. So, from what I played, it wasn't bad. There was some room for improvement. The overworld is fairly well done. The colors are a bit, reversing the color scheme that people normally use. It doesn't look bad. It's fine as it is. You might want to try using custom palettes, though. Those would probably help with classic tile set. Because, and this is just personal opinion, a lot of people will argue it with me, but, you have scripts and stuff in your quest, obviously, from the signposts, so you know how to use Zelda Classic. One of the general rules of thumb is when you're learning how to use the program, the very first thing you make, you don't submit, because, you're still learning, it's not going to be any good. And if you don't do something to make the classic tile set stand out a little bit, then it's just going to look like a first quest, like um, like you're still only learning how the program works. Switching the palettes to or the colors around for the grass and the mountains, while it doesn't look bad, if you're going to do something like that, why not just mess with the tile or the palettes entirely and come up with some new sets of colors. Um, it would help for your overworld. Um, this is just personally, but I kind of think that the mountains would look better as a brown color. But I don't think that with the built-in palettes that you can have it still match the ground when you do that. So you would have to do custom palettes for that. And your dungeon palettes are difficult to read the text when you find an item or enter the dungeon, but I'll get more on that later. So your overworld looks really good. I like the idea of having multiple items hidden in each dungeon. It's, you know, if you can't come up with enough ideas to fill a dungeon using only one item, you add two or three, now you already have a lot more that you can do with it. And I'm not saying that means that you can't come up with enough ideas to fill a dungeon. I just mean that it already opens up a lot more possibilities. Um, I like the tone that you use for your characters. It's you know it's tongue in cheek, but it's not. How do I put this? Okay, a lot of people love the Hero of Dreams, and it's designed well. It's, has a decent plot to it, but personally, I don't like it because the sense of humor is what ruins it for me. It makes a lot of referential kind of jokes, and a lot of jokes that personally I don't feel fit the rest of the tone of the game, and it's just a sore point for me. Yours, you have your humor to it, and most of the jokes, when you are going to need a reference to understand what you're making fun of, it's usually the original Legend of Zelda, which everybody here has most likely played at some point or another, or at least will know enough that they'll understand what you're referencing. So you have a decent, I like the sense of humor and the tone for the people in the caves and stuff like that, because it's attempting humor without forcing, reference type humor. Um, the bad things with the quest, one, is that the palettes in places like the dungeon make it very hard to read the text. You should probably either consider removing um, um, the lighter colors and using darker ones, or put the text in a text box, or taking out the text for the little things in your dungeon, which personally I don't think that's the best choice of action, but no, the text box or the palette change would probably be much better. Um, I liked the um, the the idea you had going for trying to make a cave type dungeon using the classic tile set, but the problem with the cave is it's a natural structure, not a man-made structure. So your rooms where it's has square edges to it and stuff, they don't look good. Although the dungeon rooms that do have, curving, not straight, hard corners, those look very nice, and they kind of help with the cave aesthetic that you're going for. But the hard rectangular square-shaped rooms, they don't look very good at all, and that's very easy to fix as well. You just add, a couple little bumps and stuff to the corners and the edges to kind of hide that shape. Um, the other thing with the quest, other than the palettes and the shapes for some of the dungeon rooms, would be it's got, you can't play this without hitting bugs that force you to reset the game, which is actually the biggest issue. The player shouldn't be forced to exit the game, or, you shouldn't force a player to have to use the F6 button. Personally, I try my best not to use it for anything unless I'm actually done for the day playing the quest. No, I would rather backtrack than feel like I'm cheating by using the F6 button. If I'm going to need to use it to refill my health, for instance, I would rather just accept that I'm going to need to add an extra death to the death counter on the quest. And it's, some people don't have a problem with that, but if you're going for a professional type game, or, that kind of aesthetic to it, and you want it to be as good as you can get, you can't make the player rely on that. So any bugs like that, you need to get them fixed as soon as you can. So I'm going to assume that you didn't do much for bug testing on it your initial time through, or you did what, you used the F6 trick to reset the dungeon and stuff as you were testing, which you shouldn't do. But other than that, I can see what you're trying to do with it, and it's you're pretty good at designing your dungeons and stuff. And so far, other than the signposts, everything is, the same as it would have been in an NES quest. It's a very good start. And if you get the bugs ironed out and just the little details that make things hard to read, or the stuff like that, then I can see this being one of the better quests on the database when it's finished. It's just having to get the things fixed to get to that point. The potential is there, it's just having to kind of polish it up a bit to get to it.